In this week's episode, Dr. Kevin meets Nigel as they both keep a careful eye on a colony of bats that could potentially lose hundreds of individuals due to heat stress. Lisa heads up country to see how working dogs that have been written off are rehomed with new owners. Later, Nigel climbs a very flimsy tree to rescue a kitten. But first, Julia introduces Flick's tricks with our second trick, Take a Bow.
Welcome to Flick's Tricks. I'm Julia and this is Flick, my beautiful border collie. This week's fun trick for you to train your dog, even while you're at home watching TV, is to take a bow. A lovely way to end any tricks routine is with you and your dog taking a bow. Before you start your training session, make sure you've got lots of your dog's favourite treats ready to pay your dog for the hard work it's about to do. You may also be using a clicker, or the word yes can be just as good to mark the behaviour that you're after. But please remember, no freebies. Just because your dog looks really cute doesn't mean that you can give it a treat. Your dog is going to work for the treats that you have, so giving them for free will decrease the value of your dog wanting to work for you. This is one of those exercises that your dog can hold and remain in until you indicate the end with your chosen release word. Have a clear picture of what you expect your dog to do, set your criteria, and then start training. My criteria for take a bow is that my dog places his forearms and elbows on the ground with the tail end still high up in the air. Some dogs may drop their bottom end all the way down to the ground. Others might even shortcut it by not committing their elbows all the way down. When training, only give your dog a treat when it meets your criteria. Small dogs and big dogs are able to learn this skill. Dogs that shouldn't be taught this skill include any with back problems.
Right now we're off to see the guys at Yarra Valley Working Dogs. Now these guys work with end of the line working breeds, so pets that have far too much energy and their owners just don't know what to do with them, or rescue dogs that once were working dogs that just aren't cut out for it. And then you've got dogs with behavioural problems and aggression problems that can't be around anybody. So these guys do a little bit of gritty work, but it's rewarding because you get to see dogs rehomed that otherwise wouldn't have been. It's a little bit of a drive up into the hills, but once we get up there, you'll probably hear why they need so much space. Steve and Talia, you've been up here for about a year and a half now. What inspired you to get into rehoming and training dogs?
Just a lot of dogs I found weren't fitting into, the private pet life.
Yep.
A lot of the rehoming dogs, they're just not suited just to go into a pet background. So give them something to do and put them on a property and send them to do what they're supposed to do.
And with the dogs that you get here, what are some of the common misconceptions that people have had that have prompted them to buy working breeds in the first place?
They just think that they can handle just the energy level, and it's not just about handling the energy level, it's about getting their heads right. And you've got to make sure they've got enough to do mentally, otherwise they won't be happy and they will tear up your backyard.
And with the dogs that you get up here, these are sort of end of the line dogs, aren't they?
We get a lot of dogs with huge problems.
A lot of them are on death row from pounds, or their owners are just at their wits' end and don't know what else to do with them, and we're their last resort.
Okay, well can you show us maybe some of the methods that you use here to help retrain and figure out whether it's a working dog or a pet?
Yep.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Let's feed some dogs.
Great. Okay.
Scooby is a 12-month-old Kelpie. He was surrendered 2 weeks ago by owners that couldn't manage to keep him in the backyard. He needs a lot of training, but will eventually be rehomed as a working dog.
So how many weeks training has Scooby had?
2 weeks training.
And he's still obviously pretty excitable.
He is, but this is him being quiet. Ellie's
And you've got Ellie in here to help him as well?
just to keep the sheep off the fences so that he can get around them a bit better. But I use her to control the stock to control Scooby.
How long do you think it'll take before Scooby's at the same place that Ellie is?
Yeah, good 3 years. It takes a long time to train a dog. Ellie does a lot of dog trialling and stuff.
But eventually Scooby will be on a working property.
Absolutely, and he will need plenty of stock to keep him happy. Good boy, Scooby, sit.
Whisper is only 4 months old and she's full of beans. Steve and Talia decided to keep her and train her for dog trials.
So we have got a puppy here with us. Is this Whisper?
This is Whisper.
Okay, and he or she?
Sheep.
She is going to work the ducks today
Absolutely.
and show us how it's done. So you use ducks as an example for puppies. Why is that?
Oh, well, if a sheep runs over a small pup, it might bust the dog up a little bit, lose its confidence.
Okay,
You don't want to get them hurt, you want to build them up, not tear them down.
okay.
So if a duck hits the dog, what do you do? That's fine.
Gets a nip on the nose.
That's the worst thing that can happen.
Animal Rescue, Nigel speaking.
Animal Rescue, Nigel speaking.
Animal Rescue, Nigel speaking. Animal Rescue, Nigel speaking.
Hi Nigel, my name's John. I work for a relay service for deaf clients.
All right, yes.
I have a client called Greg in the crowd. He's getting distraught as he's got a cat that's been stuck up a tree for the last 2 days.
Oh, okay.
Come and have a look.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Let him know that I can be there in about half an hour, and if he would like to text me through his details, I'll then text him back and we can communicate that way. But tell him, yes, not a problem at all. I've just assessed the cat that's stuck up the tree here. He's been up here for 2 days now. It's a 6-month-old kitten, and the fire brigade, they were out here last night. They've been unable to get him down, so I've been called in as a specialist to climb the tree to get him down. It's paramount that you're absolutely safe when you're climbing trees to get any sort of animal down. This is why we have a fully purpose-built harness. I've got spurs on my feet here, ropes to go around the tree, and a rope to come and abseil out of the tree at the end of the job there. Now, ready to go and climb the tree. Yeah. Okay, the difficult part of this tree is there's so many branches and they break so easily, which is why it's going to take me quite a bit of time to get up here. I have to make sure that I'm always connected to the tree all times. So if any branches break, that I don't fall. Now this would have to be one of the hardest trees to climb because there are so many branches here. They just keep getting in my way. I much prefer to climb trees that have less and fewer branches. I've got to get myself a good grip. I've got no grip with my feet at the moment. Here we go. Are you ready for your rescue? After 2 days, you're coming down, Misty. Come here. Good pussy cat. That's a good cat. These are the ones that I like. Sometimes I have cats that run around the trees on me but don't want to be caught. So we better get the bag out. Time to put one little putty cat into a bag. What do you think, matey? Here we go. Gotcha. Come on. Come on. I've got you. I've got you. I've got you. That's a good little kitty cat. That's good, Misty. And now it's starting to rain. Yes, we got you now. You're going to be back home with Daddy very shortly. Yes, you will be. Now that we've got Misty safe in the bag, time to ascend back down to the ground. Coming down. It's always a lot easier coming down trees than what it is climbing up them. I can't believe I've broken so many branches. I've tried to break none. This tree has just been so flimsy and so difficult to climb. It is certainly one of my harder ones. But the cat is down safe and so am I. And that's what it's all about. Come on, Misty. Here we go. Misty, there you go. Here's your dad. Okay. Here you go, Greg. Oh, this is what I love. Returning animals back to their owners again after they've been stuck in such a predicament. I'd rescue this kitten any day. He's very, very friendly. He's a beautiful natured little kitten. Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure.
I'd like to welcome my rookie dogs here today to learn to take a bow exercise. We've got Anita with Hazel and Meg with Hugo. So to start off with, we're going to load our hand up with a whole heap of treats, placing it at our dog's nose, getting our dog up into that stand position. From here I'm going to move my hand with the food down to between her front feet, getting those elbows to commit to the ground and marking and rewarding. So with that food up at her nose, moving it down to between her front feet, marking and rewarding. Guys, we'll give it a shot with your Hugo and Hazel. That's it. If you find that the dog, as they go down, drops this back end all the way down to the ground, what you can try doing is just putting that soft part of your arm underneath that part of their body here. You don't want to use your hand to grab any fur or anything there, just moving it down. And as the dog's elbows hit position, see if you can just ease that hand out of the way while the back end stays up. And always marking and rewarding when your dog hits position. See how they're going. Yes, nice one. Very good. Two very clever puppies today. Well done. If at home you're finding that your dog's not really following that piece of food, or if they're just putting their head to the ground and not bending those forearms at all, what you can do is put a collar on the dog and use your collar to help guide them down into position instead. So instead of using that food luring the dog down, I can use my thumb through the dog's collar and help guide her into that position while she holds that position, yes, and marking and still rewarding. Okay, so I'm still giving her food, or you could always release and reward with a game of a toy. So I'm just hooked my thumb through, guiding her down into position, see if I can take my hands off, yes, and release and still reward. Well done guys, good job.
I'm here in Studley Park, Melbourne, amongst a colony of some 37,000 grey-headed flying foxes. The grey-headed flying fox came to Melbourne in the 1980s and is spread through much of southeastern Australia. Unfortunately, this magnificent creature is considered vulnerable to extinction due to loss of habitat and extreme weather events. The grey-headed flying fox is particularly susceptible to heat stroke. Last week, when the temperatures in Melbourne exceeded well over 40 degrees for consecutive days, this colony alone lost over 4,000 flying foxes. And that's why we're here today, when the temperature is expected to reach about 39 degrees, to monitor this potential heat stress event. Nigel, you've got some experience dealing with the heat stress events that these grey-headed flying foxes go through, and that's why you're here today.
That's right. This is my second time in the years to deal with the heat stress. Hopefully it's not going to happen today, but we're here in case it does.
Could you go through the process as to actually what happens over the course of the day if the temperatures were to reach 42, 43 degrees?
Well, at the moment we're sitting around about 34, 35 degrees, which is a good temperature for the flying foxes. I think, as we can see in the trees, they're still very, very high up in the trees, which is where we want them to be. It's as the temperature rises in the afternoon, if it rises, that's when you're going to see them slowly coming down the tree, getting closer and closer down to the ground, because the ground temperature in the shade, when you have lots of vegetation at the ground, it's actually a lot cooler. So they're trying to cool themselves down by coming low into the trees. Hopefully that's not going to happen today. But the other thing that they will do to cool themselves down is they'll start skimming the surface of the water. And they'll get their bellies and skim the surface, so they're wetting themselves down, flying back into the trees, and then they'll lick themselves and rehydrate themselves that way.
I've certainly seen a number, there's one just down there,
yes.
Do exactly that. It's quite a sight really. I didn't realise, well, when they're wingspans are over a metre, isn't it? The large
so there,
males
the big males, absolutely,
quite
for sure.
Quite a sight.
It is a sight. The other thing I've actually seen them do is I get them into the water, and they're actually very good swimmers.
Oh, really?
Have you ever seen a flying fox swimming in water?
Never.
They're quite good. They're just sitting there flapping away like they're doing butterfly.
Oh, wow.
But as I say, they're very high up. That's really great. But it's when they come right down into the low ground, trying to cool themselves in that extreme heat, that's when we start having problems.
In the last 12 months, Steve and Talia have rehomed 25 dogs as either a worker or a pet. And Frankie is one of them.
Hi, how you going?
Good, I'm Lisa.
I'm Tawny, pleased to meet you.
And you too, and hello to you.
This is Frankie.
Hi Frankie. We're about to see what you can do. Yes, we are.
Definitely.
Should we put him to work?
Yeah, I reckon.
All right, in you go, little buddy. So is Frankie a rescue pup? Where did he come from?
So Frankie was in a country pound at the age of 4 months. The rescue group we deal with, Australian Working Dog Rescue, were struggling to get a foster carer for him. So we put our hands up and he came to us, and we had him for about a month or two and got him going, and realised that he would make a really nice work dog or even trial dog.
Great.
And yeah, we make videos of the dogs and put them on YouTube, and yeah, that's where Tawny saw him, and she got Frankie here to do some trial work with.
Oh, it's great. How have you found him so far?
He's an awesome working dog. He's tough. The amount of personality he's got has changed so much, because I've had him for about 12 months now. He's really awesome. It's something I've never had before in a working dog.
Oh, that's great. What inspired you to get a rehomed dog and not train one up from a pup?
I have had pound dogs before, and I really don't see much of a difference. I saw him on YouTube and I just fell in love with him, and I saw his movement. I loved the look at him, came down and saw him, and he worked for me really well.
Frankie's a pure example of not making a great pet. There's no way that he'd enjoy being locked up in a backyard and going for a half-hour run every day. Yep. He needs a lot more mental stimulation.
Yeah, I could not have him as a pet on his own without working sheep, without my other 2 dogs keeping him company. He's fantastic, and for people like this rescue mob, the Yarra Valley, they've just been fantastic with the amount of work that they've put into him. Yeah.
It's exciting that they can be rehomed then.
Yeah, definitely.
With the amount of working dogs that get abandoned every year, I think you'd agree that it's pretty satisfying to see one rehomed with a suitable family and working with the instinct that got him into trouble in the first place. Frankie is a lucky boy.
Kim also adopted through Yarra Valley Working Dogs. Flynn wasn't cut out to be a worker and was trained as a companion instead.
Kim, have you owned working dog breeds before?
I have. I've been lucky enough to have a few before, so I sort of have a bit of an understanding of their little brains.
Yeah.
And the work that they need, sort of just to keep them happy.
And you're living in a suburban environment. How does Flynn fit in with that?
Yes, I have 5 dogs in total.
Oh wow.
And well, they get exercised every day. They get a little sometime in the morning, and then at night time's where the majority of the time I spend with them.
Well, he's very social.
He loves people and loves children to death.
Oh, that's good. That's good to know.
Yeah.
That families with little kids can have
Absolutely,
working dogs.
yep. It's all about just getting everyone to love each other and integrating them into the family properly and making sure everyone's happy and healthy.
Beautiful.
Working dogs make loyal companions, but need to be with people willing to do the work. Get them into training as young as possible, and you'll have a willing companion for life.
As I say, they're very high up, that's really great, but it's when they come right down into the low ground, trying to cool themselves in that extreme heat, that's when we start having problems.
So what do you actually notice?
Well, the first thing is that they'll climb on top of each other, and it's what we call clustering and clumping down at the bottom of the trees. I mean, last week we had them all, there would have been 100 of them all sitting right here at the base of the trees, right down low.
Oh wow.
If you have lots of vegetation down there, it's actually very, very cool for them, and we can come along and we can spray them and mist them and hose them down, and that will keep them alive and keep them going for the day. But when they're on top of each other, you've got the body heat that's increasing the temperature within inside the mass of them all, and that's where we'll get dead ones on the outside and we'll see live ones in the middle, and we've got to reach in and grab them, but that is in extreme cases. But when we're monitoring them down nice and low, we're looking for the weaker ones. We're looking for the juveniles, as they're the ones that are more susceptible to the heat stress than what the adults are. So we sit back, we hose them down, misting them down, keeping the environment nice and cooler for them. But when we do have to interfere by rescuing the babies and getting them away, that's when we use the response unit, which is a mobile veterinary clinic, and we take them into there, and we've got vets and vet nurses and all the wildlife people that are rehydrating the bats. We're giving them fluids, we're giving them watermelon, grapes, and oral fluids as well.
Sounds like you do an amazing job.
Well, somebody's got to do it. You know, we lost, as you say, over 4,000 bats 10 days ago down here. It's just over 15% of the colony, so it's quite a substantial number.
Yeah, particularly when we know that these animals are unfortunately considered vulnerable to extinction.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So after you've rescued particularly the juvenile young bats, do they go to rescuers or kind of carers?
Yes, they do. They go out to the foster carers and the wildlife shelters because they're juveniles, and a lot of the adults have actually died. So they've been orphaned. So they've actually got to be hand raised.
Oh wow! And
that's a long process.
I bet it is. How long would the process be?
Well, I'm not a carer myself, but I would estimate probably 2 to 3 weeks.
Wow. Okay.
Before they got all their strength back big enough to be able to release them back out again down here.
Okay, wow. Well, let's hope that we don't have an extreme heat or weather event here today, and the bats remain comfortable up in the tops of the trees. But now I know what I'll be looking out for, and I suppose you'll have a few people on standby just in case an extreme weather event does get called.
We certainly do. All the carers, we all go on call. It all depends on DEPI. They call the shots to whether or not it is going to be a heat stress event. And if it is, bang, everybody comes rushing down to here, and we're down here, for half of the night as well.
Wow, you've got a large group of committed individuals.
Wonderful, wonderful people.
It's now 5 p.m. and Nigel and I have been here for most of the afternoon. Lucky for the flying foxes, the temperature has only reached about 37 degrees, so the potential heat stress event for today has been avoided. Having said that, as the summer unfolds, Nigel and his crew are going to need to be on hand should any consecutive very hot days arise. I've really enjoyed watching and observing these magnificent creatures today, but I do have a word of caution. The grey-headed flying fox actually carries a very nasty virus called the bat lyssavirus, which is very similar to rabies. As a vet, I'm vaccinated against this virus, but all members of the public should avoid touching these animals and try not to get too close to the trees which have them present within them. It's all about enjoyment and keeping safe.